Hello and welcome once again to High Fell. Mug of tea and look out the window. It's not raining, it's quite windy and it's not as warm as you'd think, but it's green. Summer's coming. But of course it's already here at High Fell, and look at this. This is the benefit of all that awful weather that we've been having. I've managed to get on quite a long way. We're developing the scenic area to the east of the viaduct. So I'm just giving a quick overview there. These are using the Metcalfe Engage card kits. I absolutely love these. They're great fun to do, good value, and they just come out so well. So this is Glebe Farm, in deference to the place I spent a lot of my childhood with my best mate. It was their family farm. And it's surprising how the Metcalfe kit actually looks so similar to their farm. Well, the way I've laid it out, it does. So we've got a lot of extra detail added in. Took an inspiration from the guys that do all of the dioramas with the wargaming, etc. And decided to build the farm on its own board. And it made it a lot easier because, as you can see, trying to stretch over, it's just really hard to try and get the details in. So I built this onto a board, laid down the concrete farmyard with filler, painted it. Maybe it would have been a better idea to have started with a piece of foam board because of course the card did get a little bit wonky with all that moisture in there, even though I tried my best. But anyway, it's got character, and I'm sure that the area would have had some subsidence at some point. To try and use the idea of force perspective, I've also used Engage farm machinery and figures in this area to try and give you that impression that it's a little bit further away than what it looks. And I'm not going to quote the Father Ted one, you know the one I mean. So I think it's worked really well. Very, very pleased with that. These are the walls that I did a little feature on how to do those. I'm really pleased how that's come out as well. It's got just the look I was after. So that Dale's quite rough stone finish. And unbelievably, there's 6.5 meters of walling gone in here. It's like trees. You start and it just disappears, it goes to nowhere. So I'm really pleased that I found a way of doing something that I was happy with and didn't break the bank. I'd rather not be spending huge amounts of money on stuff I can make myself. The locomotives and the rolling stock, I'll let the experts do that. So here we have Glebe Farm, and we have some flowers and things going on the front. There is a little lawnmower down there, little push one. Some honeysuckle just crawling around the edges. I've also illuminated all the buildings, including the barn, because I thought that would be quite a nice idea. It's actually got an extra resistor in there, so it gives it a really low yellowy light. You won't see it in this light here. The farm implements and the tractors are from Ben at DAPR, who is also the guy that did the dock cranes, and I was just musing through and I thought, oh, they look quite good. Cheated a little bit. Again, childhood memories. The first vehicle I drove legally on the road was a Fordson Dexter, so the MF135 has been slightly modified and repainted to give it more of a Dextery look. It's not 100%, but it's for me, not for anybody else. And then into the back we have got the potatoes growing in the back of the garden, gooseberry bushes, a tree that's crawling up the back of the house there, and there's even a very naughty spaniel that's pulling last night's chicken carcass out of the bin. I wonder who that could be. Some more detailing still to go in. I want to add some more ground cover and also blend in the edges of the walls here as well a little bit more. More trees to go on. Moving along to Paradise Cottage. And this is typical of a worker's cottage. Very small amount of space. In fact, I think they're probably doing quite well actually to get this amount of garden. A couple of trees in the back, probably some sort of fruit trees, and again got something growing there. The washing's out, all these little details, they just add to stuff, and it's quite easy to do and it is quite fun. Still some more blending to do at the front here, and there's gates to add. I'll probably just make those out of some of the excess bits of fencing that I've got that I've also used around the layout. So we've got sheep in this field here, and it's got the typical scrubby kind of upland look to it. That's what I'm really going for there. Probably going for cows over here, because there would be some form of cow, particularly for this farm here, because there's something that they produce, which we will get to at another time. And I'm thinking this could be a little paddock maybe for some horses. There are some horses on the layout, but these are TT 120 size horses, and so now they've become giant horses, so they might be going to another farm, the one in the sky or eBay. And then we move along to St Anne's Church, and again I saw a friend of mine had actually built this, or his good lady had done. Sam, she made a fabulous job of this, and I saw that and I thought, do you know, that would look great on the layout, but I didn't know where it was going to go, and it wasn't until all of these started to fall into place. So I've added some extra detail as well. I like adding the downpipes just made from spaghetti. Appeals to the inner child in me. The stone path is some of the embossed paper which I use for doing the walls, particularly on the quay side and at the cutting. And I rolled them to get them a little bit flatter, and then glued those down and blended the edges. Some of the tombstones and gravestones have gone in. I need to get some more of those. I'm sure more people have died in High Fell. The tombs that are going to be, or the gravestones that are going to be closest to the church would be the oldest, so they're quite heavily weathered and got that sort of green, dark, aged, oxidised stone look. And then as we move further out, so I'll try and get those a little bit lighter. Added some extra vegetation around this area here, sort of up by the water tower, and added some extra details along here. The road is made with my homemade Mod Podge, modelling splodge as I call it. So that's just paper whizzed up in water in a spice or a little food blender, then let that soak through so it's really fibrous, and then add some regular polyfiller or gypsum, just the cheap stuff, same thing. Also I've added PVA into this as well. It kind of gives it a bit of a weird gloopy texture, but it's really easy to work. It holds its shape. Can take a while to dry, but that's a good thing because it means it doesn't dry out too quick, so it doesn't crack. And I'm really pleased with the texture that I was able to get. It's got more of that pock-marked road surface. As it goes down the hill, there'd be a little bit of damage from running water and ice and stuff like that over the years. Because this is a dead end just above farm, it wouldn't really get an awful lot of attention from the council. A little bit like main roads these days. So moving up, we get to the level crossing, which again is a new feature. I obtained some 3D printed level crossing gates, and then I've just set those in. That's a combination of, again, using the model plodge and then some of the DAS air drying clay, and then super glued those in. So basically with the clay, build a little concrete standing basis for it, poke the edge of the framework in to make the shape, let it dry, and then just super glue that back in, and that's nice and steady and operational as well. And then just start to blend it all in with some bits of foliage and clump. It's a little bit unusual here at High Fell in that the road goes obviously over the railway here at the level crossing, but it also has to pass around the back of the goods yard. Now that's probably something that very rarely, if ever, happen, but I'm just a big believer that sometimes when it's a tricky kind of space, you've got to work with what you've got, and I haven't got any more room, unfortunately, and I'm sure there'll be places somewhere where these kind of real anomalies of sprung forwards. So that's where we are there. So there is still more work to do, but I think that's coming on all right, and I'm really pleased with that. Just before we go, I'm going to show you, this is one of the latest part additions to the stock here. One of these lovely 50-foot Scenic full brakes. In other words, a parcel van. At the moment it's doing service on the back end of a fitted van freight, so it's still on an express. But that's not all that's been happening down here. So whilst I grab my mug of tea, Yorkshire's, that's better. Coffee's great, but if you're going to build a railway, you're going to need tea. So, twin towers of Anton Deck have now been illuminated, but the bigger changes are an extension to the end of the quay to accommodate the oil silos and this new oil filling terminal. So this is a DAPR kit, as are the silos. On this part I had to flip it through 90 degrees to get it to fit in the space I've got, but the bonus is that now we've actually got two roads going this way as opposed to going in that way, and it also accommodates two wagons, so effectively it's theoretically filling 4 wagons simultaneously, and that keeps the board members at Esso very, very happy. So you might actually wonder why Esso features prominently in the United Kingdom, bearing in mind it's an American company and it isn't just all about, well, all the big fuel companies are prominent. The history of Esso is actually quite interesting. It's one of the reasons why they ended up being so dominant in shipping oil. Esso standing for Eastern Section Standard Oil. They did something very clever. In the early days of transporting oil, it was transported in barrels, wooden barrels, predominantly actually ex-beer barrels, and Esso bought up vast quantities of these and cornered the market. And that is also the reason why when oil is measured in trading, it's traded in barrels, or production is estimated in barrels. It's because of that historic nature. And Esso would ship the oil basically for all the fuel companies, and so it was really common to see lots of Esso tankers on the rail network, particularly in Britain, because it was the primary way of moving oil for many years. So we've also got these other DPAR kits, which are the oil silos and the pipe work that goes with those. I've added some extra bits and pieces that I've found over the ways. I was interested, there might be some more pipe work going over the railway as well to this building here. I wonder who was actually in here. Oh, didn't expect that. I wonder who's in the other building. Oh, well, that's embarrassing, isn't it? And a Swedish car. I'm sure that'll come up in future. Anyway, moving swiftly along, I was after a signal box for this side of the layout, and I haven't really got much space, so thinking laterally and thinking literally, what did the railway do? Well, they went up, and so I've made myself this gantry signal box. So it's in the Greenwood laser signal box, they're one of their GNR signal boxes, and made a few changes to it, moved the steps around to the side, put the walkways on there, the duck boards, added some steps here. They, I think, came from a Peak or a Wills N-gauge kit, footbridge kit that didn't go well. It just didn't work out when I was first building the model, and just couldn't get the height on it. But anyway, don't throw these bits away because you never know when they're going to be useful. And then the gantry section is actually a 3D printed gantry crane that someone was listing even on eBay. But I took the crane elements out and some of the arms, or some of the support girders, changed it for some I-beams which I got from a local model shop, and added these open deck iron grid type platform on it. And they were something again which I got to do the where if I focus on it, yeah, to do the drain grids and just sections in the centre of the points here actually on the quayside. That's all come out rather well. So that's what things have been happening here at High Fell and on St James's Quay. I'm going to say take care and happy modelling as always, because that's important, and then I'm going to put the phone down and run some trains and tag that on the end of the video.